Hey everyone, welcome back to Winning in the Workplace. I am Dr. K here, and today is Martin Luther King's birthday. So I sent out several happy Martin Luther King Day to my friends with the caveat of saying, such as it is. We're living in America, and America is no longer America as we know it. So we're not just going to say happy Martin Luther King Day and simply try to honor his legacy. We're going to do something different and think about his message as it relates to education, because my channel is about winning in the workplace, and I normally speak to the educators among us because I am an educator trying to win in my workplace, and it's hard out here. So I'm just thinking about what King's message meant. And I decided that I was going to direct my community to two books that I've just reread because, America is not America as we know it. So I'm going to give you these books, and I want you to think about putting these on your to read list and thinking about one, Martin Luther King's message, and two, the time that we are living in right now in America and how those two things are so out of sync. So the first book is, let me tell you why I'm recommending these two books. So first, they hopefully will deepen your or our understanding about democracy, because I think we've all taken democracy for granted as we've grown up. I know I've never thought about what it means to live in a democratic society, but I'm certainly thinking about that now. This will help you also think about power and how the role we all play in protecting not only our future, but our current freedom. So the first book, and I'm not sure if I recommended this book before, but if not, and if so, it's good to recommend again. So the first one is On Tyranny. It's by Timothy Snyder. And it is such a great book for us to understand how, I can't even say his name, how the president is using this map of how he wants to be a tyrant. Like, he's going through the absolute stages. So in the book On Tyranny, historian Timothy Snyder, he's also a professor at, I think he used to be at Yale. And I digress here, but this is a good digression. He used to be at Yale. Recently, he's left the United States recently and moved to Canada because of what's happening in America. So he lays out 20 short practical lessons for the masses, the society, the people to resist authoritarianism. And what I love about this book, it's not abstract. It's like a little tiny book. It's actionable. It's easy to read. And I don't know how this book came across my books to read way back when, but it did. And thank God, I think it was Rachel Maddow. She talked about him. She must have interviewed him. And I'm like, oh, let me get this book. It's small. It was so easy for me to understand what he was talking about and how democracy can erode little by little, small steps, just as we're seeing now. It talks about the normalization of lying, how the people in power use lying as a weapon to hypnotize and to confuse the people they are sworn to protect and lead. It talks about how the tyrant and his regime, because that's what we're living under now, is a regime, talks about normalizing lies and undermining institutions and targeting vulnerable groups. It's like they looked at this book and said, okay, we're going to do this, and 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 they've done it. So it is something that as educators we need to be aware of, because I feel like educators are on the front lines of this, particularly in Minnesota. My gosh, I don't even know how those teachers are still teaching. How are we keeping those babies safe? They can't even barely go to school. Like, it's just so many things are happening. So that's book number 1. It's On Tyranny by Timothy Snyder. And then book number 2 is How Fascism Works. And this is a new book to me, but it's by Jason Stanley. He's also a professor, I want to say at Yale. I could be mixing up Yale, maybe Harvard, maybe Yale. I will put the correct school up here in the notes somewhere. But he also recently left the United States, took his family, and moved to Canada. So Timothy Snyder and now Jason Stanley, who is the author of the second book, How Fascism Works, both have taken their families out of the United States recently and moved to Canada and are teaching at the University of Toronto. Canada is taking up all of our great thinkers here in America. To me, it reminds me of Germany, when Germany's scientists and best thinkers fled Germany to come to America because they wanted to flee Nazi rule. This is what's happening now. So Jason's book, it's a little unsettling to read his book because it's like a forecast into everything that's happening now. He explains how leaders and movements and regimes can manipulate fear, which they're doing now. They're manipulating identity, like putting one or trying to pit one race against each other. They're trying to divide people into the us versus them mentality. His book was, it was a great read, but it was a little scary for me to read. So I think it's something, though, that we have to be aware of as Americans now. I know this used to be over there, right? The Middle East, look at those people over there and how do they live like that? And Ukraine, poor thing, they had been living under this threat of fear and tyranny for years, and we kept saying it's over there and, how do they do it? And now it is us. How are we doing it? So his book is another good read, and I think as educators, we have to be thinking about what we're teaching our students, if we can teach our students, because remember, they've stripped now DEI from not only the universities, but in K-12, critical race theory, anything to do really with slavery and the way, things actually happen, that's all stripped away. So, but in order for our young people to not repeat this cycle, because, we're in this cycle right now and they're living it with us, but we have to make sure they're educated and we have to teach them the lessons that have come before. So I think it's a great book. Both of those books are great for me. Again, a little scary. It's something that I think if you're looking for a meaningful MLK Day project, if you've done all of your volunteering today and now it's downtime because we're getting ready for work tomorrow, and you're like, what can I do now? What can I do personally to continue to enrich myself on this MLK Day? Order these 2 books. And as usual, I'd love to hear your thoughts about them. Did they frighten you? Did you feel like they were prophetic like I did? Are you surprised? Because I was. Are you surprised to hear that those 2 authors, those 2 great thinkers of America, have now fled America with their families and are living in Canada? Like when I heard that, I thought it was a rumor, and then I went down the rabbit hole, and I'm like, lo and behold, they're both now working at the University of Toronto. They have moved their families out. And I've looked at several of their interviews where they talk about their decision to leave America and what prompted them to do such a drastic act. And I do feel like it's drastic, but we're living in drastic times. And those people who are saying that, we're just sowing the seeds of fear, it's not as bad as we think, that's probably the same thing the Jews said in Germany right before Germany fell and they got stuck behind the line. So I know This is not one of my more positive messages, but as always, I like to hear your thoughts. So leave me a comment if you want to leave me an encouraging comment in this time that we're living in. I always love encouraging Pollyanna comments, but I want to know what these two books, what did they speak to you? What did they say to you? What did it make you feel, think, or consider as we live under this tyrant that we're living under in his regime? All right, guys, that's it for now. I just wanted to come on and do this quick video. I'm looking forward to your feedback. Take care.